On today's show, we're talking about practicing to mastery and why we choose quality over quantity at Athletic Mission. Hey guys, welcome back to Strategic Baseball Podcast. Hope everybody's had a great weekend. For me, it was kind of frustrating because we released an episode on Friday called Pregame Routine. I submitted it and it never got posted. So it's been a rather frustrating weekend. The first time this ever happened to me and on any of my podcasts. So it's been frustrating trying to figure that out. And maybe that'll get posted one day. If not, maybe I'll try it again. But anyways, on today's show, we're going to talk about practicing to mastery and what it means for us and the guys that we are training at Athletic Mission. So Geoff and Darrell here, and we help baseball players get to the next level with a strategic advantage so that they can play with supreme confidence against the best players at any level. In every episode, we promise to deliver value on the strategic side of player development to help your players compete with players just as good, if not better than them. And again, as mentioned earlier, we're going to be talking today about practicing the mastery and what we're teaching our guys that we train locally and remotely. So remember, Darrell's a pitching strategist. I am a hitting strategist, and this is Strategic Baseball Podcast. If you are interested in joining our circle, head over to strategic-baseball.com, which you can also find in our show notes, and submit your email to always get a reminder each time we release a new episode. Weekly tips from Darrell and I, and a PDF transcription and visual of the previous episode, and much more. If you are a player, parent, or coach who is interested in learning more about how the strategic advantage baseball process works for your unique situation, please email me at jeff@athletic-mission.com or darrell@dc@startpitching.com. You can find that in the show notes, and we would love to arrange a time to talk with you and see how we can help. So Darrell, my man, a lot of guys come to us because they're lacking game day results, which is ultimately what everyone is looking for. So let's talk to our audience about practicing the mastery and what we do. So I'll let you kick it off.
Yeah, man. I think what we see, Jeff, so much information out there and they're at. And again, over the last couple of weeks when we've talked about the assessment process and kind of where we start with, especially on the pitching side with the pre-pitch routine and now the pregame routine. And people always wonder why we start there. And so I think today we can have that conversation about the reality of what it takes for us to develop as individual players and how we get results in the game truly is based on our practice habits. It's based on our practice routines. And inside of those routines, it's more than just fundamentals. And I think when we start talking about the reality of what it takes to become a next level player or elite level player, then the conversation has to go deeper and it has to be super specific to that player. And so when we start having conversations about what they've been doing up to this point and how often they do it, we always get, the parent that wants to come in and says, hey, you know what, they're doing this 4 days a week, for an hour a day, and we're still not getting the results. And it begs the question, just being real about, okay, then obviously we're not doing what's going to help him get individually better. And so it's not about the quantity of the reps. It's about the quality of the reps. And as the quality of the reps get better, then I think we can improve the quantity. And then we can start taking it to even a little more depth, deeper level. And so I think that's the piece that as parents and coaches that we get into the mindset of that we just assess everybody the same. Yeah, there's a lot of times that the drills are going to be similar, but I think the difference between what we try to get our guys to understand here is that the drill might be similar, but the takeaway is totally different. And every one of these guys, are are genetically different. Every one of them's got a different body type and style and a different level of strength and athleticism that all go into playing the foundation of what it takes to be a really good baseball player. But it's not what makes you a great baseball player. It's the actual baseball skill set that you have to master that is within yourself. So you're not constantly feeling like you got to do something that you're not physically capable of doing. And so I think that's why we've created that strategic advantage baseball process, that we go through the competitive advantage, which is more around the athletic skills and the measurables and the things that it does take to really set that baseline of what it takes to be a good baseball player, or at least athletically, giving us a foundation that we can build off of. But we also got to understand that the baseball specific skill set that we need to develop is more than physical capability. And I think that's where we built that strategic advantage mindset. We tried using several different types of assessments, and we've kind of landed on the ones that are really around the individual player skill set versus, what is just what we do at a practice and how do we manage practice. And I think that is the piece that when we see frustrated coaches that are running teams, that a lot of times they're trying to do the same drills and almost want the cookie cutter results that comes from them for each one of their players, even though each one of them has got a different mechanics makeup or has maybe a different athletic skill set or a strength level that gives them the capability of executing the drill or the different workout that they're wanting done. And so when we start really hyper individualizing this, then it really does let us go in and individually assess these guys, not only based on their physical capabilities and the measurables and the skill set, but it also lets us try to move into what we call the strategic advantage piece. What do I specifically need to do to learn how to master a pitch? And what do I need to do to master this swing or master see and spin? And then we really get super focused on just that aspect. And I think that's where practice is going. And I think that's where the high school coaches and even the summer ball, select ball coaches are starting to really break practices down into individual skill set development. And the guys that are doing that and doing it well are the ones that we're seeing are having the most success. And that's where we kind of collaborate with them. And we want to work with coaches like that we can sit here and say, hey, so when they come and train with us, we're just building on top of what they're doing in their high school practice or in their college practice or in their summer ball practice. And I think that mindset and that ability to kind of collaborate with coaches and not get so focused on the drill or the technique, but really what the takeaway is from that technique, man, I think that's the key to how we create a plan for these guys really to understand what they should be focusing on and how do we track it, how do we be accountable for it, and then really what's the measure of progress that we want to keep an eye on so we know that it's working and then it transfers on game day.
Right. And when we talk about this, and as weird as this sounds, in practice, we want to be thinking baseball and
Yep.
what happens in an actual baseball game. What's the process starting with the pre-pitch routine? We talk,
Yep.
we talk a little bit about this in the last couple episodes. What are you physically doing? What is your thought? And then what is the decision-making process?
Yep.
That's your pre-pitch routine. And then, we're talking about integrating this into practice with every single drill, with every single throw, with every single swing. And again, like you said, we're starting to see more kind of pick this up, starting to see more like game-like approach, which is great. But then there's that next piece, which is what you and I are talking about, which is the mindset, which is your pre-pitch routine. What is literally going through your mind as you are getting ready to stand in that box or stand on that rubber? And when when you see guys start going through that process, you start to see how 20 swings, they're feeling pretty good. 20 quality swings where they're going through that whole process. It's the same process that we want to show up on game day. These 20 quality swings did wonders than just going in the cage taking 200 swings. What's the takeaway for 200 swings? And did we get tired through that process? Good players, they master their process first, and then they start to add, they get quality first, and then they add on the quantity. So that's kind of what we're talking about here. And so when we talk about, we're just talking about thinking baseball while we're practicing to mastery.
Yeah, and I think when we focus on intent, and it's not just this surface level intent, like it's a specific concept of idea and then action. And when we see it from that framework, and we think it's too deep for these kids, and it's not, man. These kids blow our minds every day here.
They do, absolutely.
Because they want to understand the concept. They know that every time there's a change, that there's going to be a timing issue. Every time that I pitch on a different mound, that it's a little bit different. That not everything is cookie cutter and the same. That baseball's played outdoors most of the time in an environment that, depending on where you're at, is going to be unique. And so you have to be able to have not only this base understanding of what you're capable of doing, but you also got to have that baseball understanding that we play in real games, that when we compete, that there's going to be adjustments I have to make. And if I'm married just to this one routine or this one feel that I have when I'm playing on our home field, then you're going to struggle. And then as soon as they make that pitching change and now the timing is different from that pitcher than the last pitcher, that I'm not going to see the ball right. And so when we really start breaking down, especially you see it all the time on the hitting side, when we start talking about how we see the ball out of the pitcher's hand and what is the cue and clue that I have to use to pick up to be able to find that ball as fast as possible to give myself a chance to really kind of see what's coming, then that concept of how we practice matters.
Yeah.
It's not just a physical capability. It's literally what have we trained the brain to look for? And I think that's the cool piece about what's going on, man, because I think now we've always kind of, if they didn't have the physical skill set, we've always kind of defaulted to it's the mental side. Yeah. And the truth of it is the mental side might be a little aspect of the way we think or what we're dwelling on. But the reality of it is, if we take a strategic approach and we look at it from how do I take my physical skill set and create a strategic advantage against any pitcher I face or any hitter that I face, then it kind of reframes it in the brain about why I'm practicing, what I'm practicing, how I practice. And now that's kind of the clarity, understanding, and practice till mastery that makes up the first three steps of that strategic advantage baseball process that we teach them here, that lays out that everything I do, I need to have clarity and understanding about. So it does translate to a real baseball game, that it's not just a drill that I do or a technique or a program that I do, that it really does give me the results and the skill set, the strategic thinking type of skills that lets me go out and use my physical capability strategically. And that's how we're seeing that guys are starting to get the results on game day, man, that they're excited about, the parents are excited about, and coaches are kind of asking now, like, hey, man, what flipped the switch for you? And I think it's that strategic thinker kind of mindset that, that now it's not about whether I'm physically capable. It's really about what am I seeing about my opponent and what kind of adjustment I make. And they're practicing that. It's not just something that they do on game day. I think we're starting to get that clarity, man, that it's cool to see these kids grow and develop into that type of player.
Yeah, like you said, we are practicing and, turning ourselves into strategic hitters and pitchers. Yeah. When we start looking at what we need to do, and on the hitting side, we have what I call the stick process, STKS, which, the first act is going to be seeing spin. We have to get clarity and understanding of what it is, and then we need to implement it into every single drill or every single swing as possible. And then the next piece is going to be the T, which is timing. We're going to try to develop this in practice. And again, we're going to go a little bit deeper into the mastery of pitching and mastery of the swing in the next couple of shows. But again, all we're trying to do is we're implementing this into practice. The K is going to be the knowledge of your zone. What is your hitting zone? What is your hot zone? And then the S is going to be the swing. So again, just practicing to mastery, becoming a strategic hitter and pitcher, practicing the mastery and giving ourselves a strategic advantage that we can use in a real baseball game.
Yeah, man. And I think that we're seeing that. And I think you're seeing that kind of shift in baseball. And as much as people whine about specialty or specializing and the way that baseball is moving, the concept of practicing and it showing up on game day is not new. It's just now, literally, with all the technology and all the information we have, we can either overwhelm these kids with that, or we can sit here and integrate it into practice to where it don't feel like it's something that's impossible to do on game day. Or the opposite end of that is we're asking these kids to do something on game day that they're not really physically or strategically capable of doing yet. And so they just kind of bobblehead us and give us that kind of blank, stare look. And the truth is, if we want these guys to be able to understand strategy and how to execute strategy on game day, then we got to start baking it into everything we do. And I think that's the cool thing about what we've been doing here, man. And it's good. We're seeing the result. And I think that's a conversation that I'm excited to have, man.
Yeah, this game's all about adjustments. And what we find is the kids, they know what the adjustment is or what the adjustment should be. But it all becomes kind of lip service because when you get deeper with them and you start really having a conversation with them, you see that they don't really understand what the adjustment should be. And so anyway, this has to be a part of our pre-pitch routine, our post-pitch routine, and things that we implement in practice. So Darrell, as we wrap this up, man, what for you, what is the biggest takeaway that we want our listeners to get from this conversation that we just had?
Hey, the big takeaway today is that quality over quantity, especially at the beginning. When we're learning something new or we're trying to integrate something or we're going to master a pitch or master our swing or master anything, that the clarity and understanding that we need to have at the beginning of it as we're starting to work our way through feeling what we're trying to get done and really being able to physically be capable of doing it, as we're developing that aspect of it, that we really do focus on the quality of doing it right and getting that feel right. And then as we get that mastered and we get that feel piece right, then we can really start working to the adding more reps to it and really having a specific takeaway with those reps. So it's not just a mindless rep that I do because now I'm physically capable of doing it. It really is a quality rep that I'm taking away some type of strategic advantage that's going to help me on game day and when I find myself in certain situations and counts. And I think that's going to be the key to this next level practice and really understanding how we practice until mastery.
Absolutely, man. Hey, good show as always. I know we feel like we put out good stuff, but that's what we believe in. So anyways, hey guys, if you guys are finding any value in these episodes, please leave an objective review and head over to strategic-baseball.com and join our circle. Like I said before, we've got some cool stuff we're working on and we're going to share with you guys that we developed this thing. So thank you for listening and we'll catch you guys in the next episode. We're going to talk about mastering a pitch.